They worked in secret. Sure, you wouldn't know what they really wanted. Their conceit prevented them from seeing your shrewdness, and now you've exposed all of their plots. These serpents genuinely thought you would never learn. Their conceit preventing them from seeing your spiritual senses and persuading them that you would stay imprisoned in their complex web of deceit because they misjudged you disastrously. The boldness of these energies, grinning right into your face as the knife twisted behind your back, set the stage for what was to happen. They meticulously planned your demise, outlining just how they would destroy everything you have created. They developed whole plans centered on ruining your relationships, your confidence, your joy, and your tranquility. Nothing was off limits. This was a planned spiritual attack that was specifically directed at your light. It wasn't just random negativity. They moved to put out the fire before you completely comprehended it because they were afraid of what you carried within you. The power, the potential, and the purpose. What you have. These energies that hate the core of who you are while disguising themselves as your allies. Beneath carefully constructed facades of friendship, mentorship, and even love, their jealousy festered. They created a whole fake persona with the express purpose of winning your confidence. Their performance was superb. They researched you, identified your shortcomings, and figured out what you needed to hear. Then, they were just that, the ideal confidant, the spiritual mentor, and the devoted friend, all the while hating the light that you naturally exude. They presented themselves as spiritually advanced, offering counsel and insight from pedestals they had built for themselves. Their supremacy in spirituality served as the ideal cover for their actual motivations. Who would think that someone who said such wise words would be hiding such evil? However, you were aware of those small cracks in their performance. They had no idea that your spiritual discernment would become so strong, or that you would be able to detect energy dishonesty. Beneath the slick displays, their first disastrous error was to entirely underestimate your ability to see through their trickery. Their tactics of devastation were incredibly accurate. They pinpointed your most vulnerable areas by identifying your deepest fears and directing their missiles there. The criticism was constant, subtle at first, then more obvious, and each phrase was picked with care to undermine your self-esteem as much as possible. They started a full-scale attack on your credibility, connections, confidence, and inventiveness. They misrepresented your intentions, twisted your statements, and sowed doubts about your own value. Nothing was sacred. Instead, something extraordinary occurred. Deep within your spiritual core, an old understanding awoke like a latent defense mechanism, suddenly empowering your divine discernment as the fog started to dissipate from your perception. This was in contrast to their purpose of complete spiritual devastation. Their vibe felt off all of a sudden, discordantly jarring against the truth you hold inside. Like a cosmic alarm system, your intuition warned you of the danger lurking beneath amiable faces. You started to connect dots they never thought you could see, and what had before appeared to be isolated episodes now showed themselves as connected points in a purposeful pattern. Your heightened awareness caused conversations to resurface in your mind with fresh clarity and past events to become more apparent. The puzzle pieces came together to make a picture that they frantically attempted to conceal from you. Your spiritual vision allowed you to see right through all of their deceit, right down to the heart of their motivations. They never expected you to be able to access this level of spiritual clarity. Therefore, they were completely taken aback by this sudden activation of your higher sense. You realized the complex hierarchy they had built around destroying you as your perception cleared. The manipulator at the top planned everything by enlisting others to take part in your takedown, and they put you at the center of a whole ecosystem of negative, toxic loyalty drove the system. To be loyal to the center person meant to show animosity towards you. Those who wanted to acquire popularity soon discovered that the quickest path was to criticize, undermine, and report back information that may be used against you. There was a great deal of pressure to fit in, join the campaign against you, or be shunned by the group. This cult-like atmosphere encouraged treachery and punished sincere connection. Anyone who spoke well of you was immediately corrected, threatened subtly, and eventually excluded. You're not here by chance. Feel the pull, tap, join to unlock truth, purpose, and a tribe that gets it. This is more than a membership. It's your calling. You understood the deep reality. This was never really about you. Rather, it was about control, about one force frantically attempting to exert control over others by using you as the easy target, the shared adversary, or the focal point that diverted attention from their own evil. The realization came as a heavy blow. Those you truly cared about had given up their actual relationship with you in order to appease this manipulator. For the approval of someone who provided nothing more than illusions, they violated their integrity, repressed their own positive experiences with you, and betrayed their own knowledge. Unaware of the cosmic forces they sparked, these manipulators set out on a dangerous game. Unaware of the invisible barriers enclosing your spirit, your mission, and your journey, they took enormous chances against your heavenly protection. The universal laws were broken by their attempts at spiritual warfare, as they obviously failed to understand that each attack they made resulted in a corresponding debt in the cosmic ledger, and that every destructive desire accrued spiritual interest that would eventually become due. They employed others as pawns and human shields, preserving the appearance of innocence, while channeling these energies to fulfill their destructive objective. The manipulators stayed hidden while others carried out their schemes, a cowardly tactic meant to keep their own hands looking clean. They made the fatal mistake of thinking they could break cosmic law and get away with it. They genuinely thought they could meddle with the spirit that was protected by God and get away with it. This extreme conceit exposed their total detachment from spiritual reality and universal truth. This was a direct challenge to divine order, not just a matter of interpersonal dispute. The manipulators never understood the danger of their deeds or the safety that surrounded you, selected ones, so they positioned themselves against forces that were immeasurably more powerful than themselves. When you stopped obeying the system and said no, something in your DNA altered. What took months or years to create fell apart in an instant, and their entire meticulously planned strategy fell apart with incredible power and speed. The realization struck like lightning, shedding light on all that had been obscured by the shadows. With no more shadows to hide behind, everything they had attempted to hide was abruptly revealed to the light, including their deceptions, manipulations, and genuine motivations. Others started to recognize the truth among the very individuals they had tricked into opposing you. Clarity came and eyes opened. The magic was broken. All of a sudden, people who had joined their campaign against you started to doubt the story they had been told, seeing the lies and the manipulation. With each disclosed untruth, setting off a series of events that exposed 10 more falsehoods behind it. Their house of cards fell with dramatic force. The cornerstone of their manipulation, control, and secrecy had been irreparably broken. This devastation could not be rebuilt. Take a peek at them now. blessed by his grace. Click Super Thank You and give $20 to spread his light. Your gift plants seeds that grow his kingdom. Be the blessing. The people who planned to destroy you were overcome with constant fear, and their nerves were tingling like electricity. They lay up, calculating the damage, waiting for the next revelation, and terrified of what was ahead, unable to sleep at all. As more people learned about their actual character, their carefully constructed reputation shattered more and more every day. Not only had the mask slipped, but it had been torn off completely, exposing what was underneath. They were now seen with distrust, disgust, and increasing clarity by those who had formerly revered them. Their spiritual offenses started to show physically. The weariness carved into their faces, the illnesses brought on by stress, and the enigmatic health issues that appeared out of nowhere, because the universe made sure that every part of their existence was affected by the results of their deeds. Their bodies mirrored the disorder in their spirits. With every attempt to reclaim their position or rebuild their narrative failing more spectacularly than the previous, the control they had exercised with such assurance was slipping out of their hands like water. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Galatians 6:7. It's like planting seeds in the ground, seeds you thought no one would ever see. But one day, that soil starts pushing up what's been hidden underneath. If you planted thorns, you can't be surprised when they cut your hands. And that's exactly what's happening now. Their exposure didn't come from outside. It was pulled forward by their own reckless urgency. They were so hungry to see your downfall, so eager to fast-track your misery, that they sprinted straight into their own collapse. What they once whispered in private now echoes in open rooms. What they schemed in the dark now walks boldly in the light. And now, look, cosmic symmetry in action. The pain they crafted for you, the traps they baited with your name, have turned into their morning routine. Every sleepless night they plotted for you has become their reality. Every false word they spoke over your life now forms the chorus of their own unraveling. The same storm they sent to flood your peace is now drowning their every attempt at recovery. Their pride, once puffed up like a balloon, has deflated into silent shame. The same mouths that denied you mercy now beg for compassion. The very ones who refused to listen when you spoke truth now stretch out empty hands, desperate to be heard. Who's pleading now? Those who swore you'd never rise again now pray for your attention. Those who shut doors in your face now knock at gates they once guarded. Take a long look. These are the people who choreographed your collapse with glee. Now they're sitting in the same low place they assigned to you, but this didn't happen by chance. No, this kind of reversal, this level of precision, can only be orchestrated by divine hands. This is not revenge. This is not karma. This is God's law in motion, operating with the kind of accuracy no human mind could plot. They never pictured themselves kneeling in the space they built for you. They never imagined tasting the sorrow they poured into your cup. And yet, here they are. That's the thing about divine justice. It doesn't shout, it doesn't rush, and it doesn't miss. It just shows up right on time. Their entire perspective was upended by the shock of this role reversal, which made them face the repercussions of their actions as they planned your demise. You were being polished by fire. Something remarkable was taking place inside of you. Every assault made you more resilient. Every betrayal sharpened your judgment. And every agonizing realization made your vision clearer. You were being changed, rather than annihilated. Look at you now, luminous with genuine power, developing beyond the boundaries they attempted to impose. Throughout your existence, you were thriving in ways that went against every unfavorable prognosis they had made. They were frightened by your extension, which proved that they could not at all dampen your brightness. Everyone was taken aback by the accomplishments that were showing up in your life, particularly those who had made significant financial investments in your downfall. Opportunities emerged from unexpected places, and doors that had previously thought to be firmly locked started to open. Connections emerged with remarkable synchrony, and resources flowed precisely when required. Since no amount of intervention could take you off your intended course, your accomplishments served as the clearest proof of your divine protection. Within your spirit, the identical attacks that were intended to harm you became the pressure that turned coal into diamonds. They were now in a situation they never would have imagined. They missed your vitality, your presence, and your very being in their lives. They sensed the gap left by your withdrawal from their experience, and the very brightness they had attempted to kill now left a tangible gloom in its absence. From afar, they observed you flourishing without them, progressing, achieving success, forming relationships, and finding happiness, all without their presence, their advice, or their approval. They were completely rocked by this fact, which is indisputable evidence that you never needed them. They were overcome with regret after realizing what they had lost and what they had ruined by their own deeds. Now it seemed difficult to discover the loyalty they abandoned elsewhere. The connection they had so heedlessly thrown away now seemed irreplaceable. The worth they had overlooked now seemed incalculable. They wanted to come to you to reconnect, to justify, to explain, but fear stopped them cold. They suspected that your newfound clarity meant you saw them as they truly were, and they knew exactly what they'd done, the extent of their treachery, and the intentional harm they'd caused. Another aspect of their cosmic repercussions was symbolized by their intense need for what they had destroyed, their eventual appreciation of what they had purposefully destroyed, and their realization of the treasure only after throwing it away themselves. Justice was now guaranteed by the universe with impeccable time and accuracy. In the cosmic courthouse, where nothing escaped scrutiny, every wrong you had experienced was being handled. The scales were rebalancing with divine accuracy, according to universal law, rather than your own efforts. Even when you felt most vulnerable, your spiritual defense had been in place the entire time. Hidden forces were keeping track of every transgression and planning the ideal response when it seemed like they were succeeding, making sure nothing would ever jeopardize your divine mission. Their deep perplexity about why their plans had fallen so flat was compelling evidence of your favor. The divine intervention that saved you was exposed by their failure to understand why their well-planned annihilation failed. Their confusion served as your affirmation that you were cut off from these harmful energies because you were meant for something more. The removal was protection rather than punishment. It was a redirection rather than a restriction. It was a freedom rather than a limitation. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee. Isaiah 43:2. It's like walking through a burning house and coming out without the smell of smoke on your clothes. Everybody saw the flames, everybody expected the fall, but somehow, not only did you survive, you came out shining. You didn't just make it out, you walked out with more clarity, more power, more discernment than ever before. And here's why. You weren't walking alone. The divine choreographer ordered every step. The fire wasn't there to consume you. It was there to refine you. What they meant for harm, heaven used for training. That pain wasn't punishment, it was positioning. It was recalibration. You were being elevated, not eliminated. You see, this vindication wasn't just about making things right for you. No, this was about divine order, re-establishing its authority in the earth. It was heaven saying, light still wins, truth still rises, and justice is still on the throne. Your story became a billboard of that truth, a living testimony that no matter how loud the lie, no matter how deep the betrayal, God always has the final move. And now, because you stayed the course, because you trusted the process, you carry wisdom that can't be taught in books or classrooms. You carry fire-forged discernment that cuts through deception like a blade. Your spiritual immune system has been upgraded. It now identifies manipulation on contact. Those old tricks don't work on you anymore. You see the counterfeit before it speaks. You feel it before it moves. You know who's for you and who just wants access. And the best part? You don't even have to react. You just remain in peace. Because your boundaries now carry divine reinforcement. You'll never again shrink to fit into spaces that can't handle your truth. Never again will you trade authenticity for approval. Never again will you silence your spirit to keep shallow company. You're not who you used to be, and you're not going back. The flame didn't break you. It built you. The people who thought they were burying you didn't realize they were just planting a seed. And now you've grown into something their schemes could never stop. A living, breathing witness that God never fails. The bar for who can use your energy has been raised indefinitely. You have personally seen how universal law works flawlessly, how every action results in a commensurate reaction, how energy always finds its way back to its source, and how divine timing guarantees perfect justice. Abstract knowledge became bone-deep understanding as a result of this lived experience of cosmic principles. Most importantly, you found the unwavering foundation of your own fortitude. Something inside of you stayed resilient, even as everything around you was meant to shatter you. As a new path emerges, one that is drastically different from anything you could have ever dreamed of before this experience. This realization of your spiritual strength becomes the cornerstone around which you will build for the rest of your life. Now that the illusions have been removed, there is room for real movement, vision, and direction. Instead of moving on the shifting sands of deceit, every step forward now takes place on firm ground. Lower vibrations are automatically repelled by the higher frequency that your energy has been realigned to. You now automatically repel energies that try to deplete or weaken you while drawing in relationships that align with your true resonance. Your spirit's magnetic field has been totally reset, and the purpose that results from this purification is more intense than ever. When all distractions and diversions are eliminated, your actual course becomes clear, and the purpose you came to accomplish becomes more apparent every day. Opportunities that had been denied to you during the attack phase suddenly materialized with amazing regularity and precise alignment as the mist of manipulation began to clear your field. Resources that had previously been misdirected now flowed straight to assist your progressing objective, and doors that had previously been closed by intervening energies swung open with ease. The most significant change was the exponential strengthening of your link to divine guidance. Interference had been removed from the channel between your consciousness and higher wisdom, enabling more potent inspiration, better reception, and more accurate direction. As this chapter came to an end, the connection between your spirit and source grew stronger every day. Observe the last accounting occurring in both visible and invisible realms, Those who plotted against you were now held accountable for their deeds. Perfect equilibrium was guaranteed by the universe, not by your retaliation, but by unchangeable cosmic law. Those who had before wished for you to bow down now found themselves in that very situation. Those who had planned your suffering now went through their own painstakingly designed ordeal, while those who had tried to control your fate now stood by helplessly as their own lives descended into chaos. The spiritual technology they had used against you had flipped back on itself with perfect accuracy. Every curse had gone back to its source, every trap had sprung on its maker, and every weapon designed to destroy you was now the tool used to destroy them. As they realized that what they were going through was inevitable, their desperation increased. No amount of manipulation could change the consequences. No cunning plan could outsmart universal justice, and no act of contrition could pay off the energetic debts they had accumulated while dealing with these inevitable consequences. You keep going up, stronger, without their energy draining your system, lighter without their meddling, and clearer without their deceit. Perfect cosmic symmetry resulted from their demise, and your rise occurring at exactly the same time. No matter how hard they tried, how well they planned, or how viciously they attacked, your light could not be extinguished. Your spirit was still essentially untouchable. They singled you out because of your authenticity, strength, and potential, which put their flimsy control structures in jeopardy. Your truth exposed their deceit. Your true connection exposed their manipulative bonding. Your natural radiance showed their false light. Their resistance validated your importance. Their concerted assaults validated the strength of your mission. And their last-ditch efforts to undermine you demonstrated the radiance of your true light. Who is standing begging now? Their fear of your influence showed how powerful you may be. The cosmic wheels were now spinning with perfect precision, creating an exact reversal of the situation that those very forces had planned to see you in dire straits. What they had planned for you was exactly reflected in their current desperation. Your soul had chosen this road of cleansing by fire, and the spiritual dimensions understood what was happening as the fulfillment of ancient covenants long before this worldly experience. You chose these specific obstacles with the knowledge that they would awaken spiritual coding that had lain dormant within you. Though they thought they were the ones who were going to destroy you, these manipulators unintentionally acted as catalysts for your awakening. They served only as tools for your spiritual awakening. Each assault they made caused a new level of your spiritual DNA to become active. They fulfilled a purpose they never understood, and the cosmic irony was still exquisite. As they plotted against you, they actually sped up your waking, accelerated your growth, and expedited your progress. They gave it the precise pressure it needed to blow up while trying to dim your light. You exploded into greater brilliance because your destiny held aspects that were beyond their narrow view. From their restricted level of consciousness, they could not have imagined the voyage you were about to take. With their present spiritual frequency, they were unable to access the regions where the power you were entering existed. Keep this understanding in mind as you proceeded in the fullness of your regained power. You were strengthened when you felt the weakest, guided when you couldn't see the way, and protected when you couldn't defend yourself. It turned out that the forces protecting your objective were far stronger than those trying to undermine it. This experience increased your light, not just kept it. What they meant to put out now blazed brighter than ever. Your heavenly validation was not just about escaping their assaults, but about coming out changed, risen, and unstoppable.